Good afternoon, everyone. This is Selah, the Museum Project Coordinator for the African American Museum and Library. And it's indeed my pleasure to have you as our guest today. We're doing something a little bit different today. We have a few guests in-house, and of course, we're live on Zoom. Before I introduce you to our very special guest, I want to tell you a little bit about this institution. We are a research institution for African American history and culture. We have 4 departments here. We have a library, which is non-circulating. We have over 16,000 books on African American history and culture. We also have a seed lending library. The seed lending library, you can come in, get seeds. We have a little added noise, excuse that. You can come into our seed library and the seeds are free. We're hoping that you would take the seeds, take them home, grow them in small containers or perhaps large containers, and bring some of those seeds back. That's why we call it the seed lending library. Our next department is the archives department. We have pretty close to 200 collections here. Collections such as Ron Dellums when he was in Congress for 22 years. We have the legendary Motown designer, Mr. Henry Delton Williams. We have a lot of gowns that were created and designed by him in our archives. Designs for such entertainers like Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, and no other than Michael Jackson and Jackson 5, just to name a few. Those are a part of our collection. We also have documentation on the first African-American school teacher in the Oakland Unified School District, Miss Ida Jackson. And what about the legendary cartoonist, Mr. Maury Turner? We have a beautiful collection of illustrations, original illustrations. So that's just to name a few of the collections that are here at the African American Museum and Library. Now let's move on up to the beautiful gallery. And as you can see, and Marco, if we can just kind of show maybe around while I'm speaking. As you can see, it's quite beautiful. We are a historical landmark. So what you're seeing now, you're seeing some beautiful silk banners. These are individuals from Oakland. This exhibition is called Visions Toward Tomorrow, the History of Oakland, beginning with the 1800s to the 1900s. And these images that you're looking at are all people from the beautiful, wonderful city of Oakland, California. We also, if you can look at the ceiling is a vaulted ceiling. Very, very beautiful. You see some gold leaf paper, and it's also outlined in beautiful turquoise. Once again, as I mentioned, we are a historical landmark. You're also going to see some murals behind me. Perhaps you may not know who they are, but those are done by Arthur Matthews. Once you visit this institution, you will be able to walk through this and feel the input of your ancestors. The history culture is rich here. We opened in 2002. This building was built in 1902. So now you're looking at the murals, the African American murals. Those are done by 2 local artists. Right here in Oakland, Danielle Galvez and Patricia Montgomery. As we walk through the gallery, you'll see Arthur Matthews murals. These murals are 1906. That's how old they are. They are indeed a treasure. And they belong to us. Although certain people, collectors, wish that we can sell them, but they are not for sale. Okay, so now perimeter. What you're looking at now, the perimeter of the room Physics for Tomorrow, the history of Oakland, you'll see a lot of wonderful images. Some you might be familiar with and some you may not. There's a lot of audio and visual in this institution. We have a touch screen right here. You come up, touch that, you'll see individual Marco P. Honors, just pick anyone, that's fine. And you come here, the touch screen that you're going to use. There are many individuals speaking of their history and their experiences when they came to Oakland, the wonderful families that are inspired by their ancestors. Their stories are here. So now, with that in brief, we want to just give you a little sample.
My father worked and my mother stayed home and took care of us. So they kind of stayed to themselves and were very quiet, but their main goal was to raise their children. And I, being the oldest, had to kind of like raise the other four when my parents were out. And therefore, I didn't get a chance to play a lot. And I was very resentful about it. Inwardly, that was not outwardly involved in those days. Children were seen and not heard. But now that I look back on it, I think it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Because knowing at the time, but it shaped me into leadership. And I'm grateful about it.
And that was the motel designer, Mr. Henry W. Williams, who actually came to the city when he was 7 years old. He used to pass this building often with his parents and ask the parents, why can we own the building? And he pass here, you don't want to own the building. And so his parents would say, we're not allowed in the building. Henry W. Williams never forgot that. And as he had a paper route, he would walk through this neighborhood and pass the building and always wanted to walk in, but he knew that he was not welcome here. Now, that was then, and we are here now. And so he not only went to Los Angeles and went to designing school, he graduated with honors, he became the legendary Motown designer and came back to Oakland to help his people here and design, sometimes for free, for his people. And he's in this building all the time. Now, we've been shut down for over 15 months, but I still talk with him, and he will be honoring us again in this building. So this gives you a little bit about the wonderful history and what we've gone through with our history and culture. And it's important for us to come together on events like this. Yes, we're on Zoom, but Mr. Selah has some very VIP guests here. And AMLO has allowed these VIP guests to come into this building, even though we're at 25%. But I was told today we're up to 50%. We're in the red and the orange. I'm sorry, we are now in the yellow tier. So it is indeed my honor. Marco Frazier, my library assistant, is on staff here with me today, and my librarian downstairs, Ms. Danielle Woods. We are handling this event today, and we are honored to have you in our house as our special guest, and we do hope you come back and visit us. And those of you that are live with Zoom, you can come back in here starting for sure. Next week, we'll be back to pre-pandemic hours, which we will be open from 10 to 5:30. So now, I know you've been waiting for this very special guest. He and I, over through the years, have become very good friends. Not only do I enjoy his lectures, I enjoy just speaking to him on the phone. You're talking about, we're doing down and kind of sad, going through what we went through in 2020. And then finally, we were back to enter this building as staff, but we weren't allowed to bring any guests. Selah would call and say, "How are you doing? You know what this is?" I said, "Of course." His words are always inspiring. So today, we're really honored to have you back here. And before I just turn the whole event over to my friend Selah, I want to do a section that's called Up Close and Personal. So, Mr. Selah, I know you're in the house. Just come forward. This is a historical day because this is what we're doing. First time we're doing this via Zoom and in-house with kids. Mr. Selah, it is indeed my pleasure to have you here as my friend and as my colleague. Come on now, come on, So look, now I know you have a lot to say. You always do. And not only do you have a lot to say, you are definitely saying something. But before we get into the meat of our program, I want people to know a little bit about what Selah is about. Up close and personal. This is the section that I call it, up close and personal. So, my friend, Mr. Selah, tell us, where were you raised?
I was reared up on the sidewalks of Chicago.
Chicago, downtown.
Chicago, yes. And had a very unique experience in Chicago. My grandmother was like the godmama to the godfather. And all my family basically came from Tennessee. My grandmother would buy these different buildings, and each of the siblings would like have a floor. But my mother, we lived like what you call the English basement. And I was like the oddball. I was different.
What made you different?
Because I knew who I was. And I wouldn't take it back. I remember one day my auntie sent me to the store, and they were in there, they were all laughing at me and whatnot. I was going down the steps and say, "I'm gonna make them respect me. They don't know who I am." And I would go into the park, and I would sit down and I would write.
How old were you then?
Oh, teenager.
Teenager, okay.
And I would write. And they laughed, "Look at that crazy fool over there writing." Women do just laugh. But I had the privilege one day of them being in the audience. And I told the audience, my people used to laugh at me when I sat down and write this stuff, but I saw them have to pay $15, $20, and $30 for tickets just to hear me say that same stuff.
Yes. Yes.
My love was a Black church. The church gave me an opportunity to present my talent. I was what you call in those days like a dramatic artist.
So what did you perform? Did you sing? Did you recite? What
I
did
recite
you do?
poetry. At that time, a dramatic artist, I would dramatize my writings.
I see.
And it's in my book, Learn to Be Your Own Hero. The neighborhood was like very close, and this particular lady was having a big gospel affair. One of my aunties, being very cynical like, she says, "Won't you put him on a program?" And laugh. Lady said, "You gonna be on a program? Yeah, put me on a program." Came there, and the MC had a tuxedo on, and all the permanent gospel artists was there. I had on some clean pants and a slip over shirt, you know, my mother. They called me, and people started laughing. I said to myself, laugh at me.
So when they laugh at you, how does that make you feel?
Turned me on.
Oh, okay, okay. You didn't run off stage?
No, it turned me on. I recited the first one, they applauded me back. I
Ah,
recited the second one, they applauded me back.
ah.
Then after the MC says, I'm a dramatic artist, but that man, the next day I went and had me some business cards made dramatic artists. And then I was reciting this man with this baritone voice, Spencer Jackson. So, young man, I'd like for you to be in my play. I said, yes, sir. That was Spencer Jackson, one of the founders of gospel music.
Yes.
I was in his play, I forget the name of that one, but from that play, Harold Johnson was the director. Harold was one of the big directors in Chicago. Harold had me to read for his play, The Physics. That was summer, Desperate Hours, that was summer stock. I had about the third leading part, but every night people come to see me.
Come and see you now. I know.
And then
I need to ask you a question right here. Now, is it correct to say you're not only a writer, a poet, you're an author, and you're also a founder of
Black Confession Speakers Association.
yes, that's what I wanted to get in before.
All right.
Yes, okay.
I was at the National Speakers Convention, and Les Brown was on stage, and Les spoke, and people ran up to me and said, "Oh, how'd you like Les? How'd you like Les?" I said, "Oh, fine, fine." But what I want to say, if you'd have gave me that microphone, I'd have ate him up. That's what I really want to say.
You're so modest.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And there were only about 6 or 7 Blacks. This is the National Speakers Association. We talk about Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins.
Yes, yes,
We talk
right.
about the pros.
yes, indeed.
And I said, why aren't there more Blacks in this $22 million market? I said, nobody ever showed them out. I took on that task.
And you took on that task.
That's when I formed the Black Confession Speakers Association.
Yes, and that's, I wanted to make sure that
Yes.
I guess understand that how that was
Yes,
conceived. That's
Yes.
very important.
yes.
What is your first book? I know you have so many, but what is the very first one?
My first book was my baby. Stay positive, baby.
Okay. Okay. How long did it take you to write that book?
Oh, stay positive, baby. I don't know how long it took me, but I know I lived off that book.
Yes.
I don't know how many books I've sold.
Was there someone in particular or some place that inspired you to write the book?
No.
It just came from within?
I know what happened. Like I said, I grew up in, like I said, the church. But there was something about the church that I outgrew. When I say I outgrew it, I call it self-awareness, but it's called metaphysics. And this is when I came involved in metaphysics. Metaphysics is the study of being, knowing your spirituality, knowing your oneness with all life. And when I got involved in that, then that's when I set myself aside from the church. This is when I started on my own. And that's when I formed the Universal University. The church is what's happening right now.
Right now. Well, you know what, Selah, I mean, I could talk to you the rest of the afternoon, but I know that your special guests that are in-house here and our Zoom family really want to get into today's event, because I know you have some words of wisdom that you're going to share with us. And I'm going to turn this program over now to you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
First of all, I'd like to say that it's another day. Another day means another chance. Another day means new opportunities. Another day calls us to live at the joy of expectation. As we stand on the thresholds, this another day we stand excited, saying, I can hardly wait to see what good is going to come to me today. May I say thank you for allowing me this golden opportunity, and something that I really appreciate that you extended this invitation to share with you. Today, we're going to step out into the theme, we call it Words of Wisdom from the King. Before we go within and see what the King has to say, might I remind you today that this is not a form of entertainment. I don't want to enhance your emotion. Like if you were ill, I don't want to put a Band-Aid on you. I want complete illness. So right there where you are, I want you to come very still, come very quiet, just for a moment. Let's go and find the King. Shall we see what the King has to say? I want you to close your eyes, make yourself relaxed. Take a deep breath through your nostrils. Hold it and let it out. Take another deep breath through your nostrils. Hold it, let it out. 3 for completion. Take another deep breath. Hold it, let it out. I'm totally relaxed. Be still. Allow the center of your intelligence to be in full control right now, that you might be the recipient of nothing but absolute good. Let's see what the King has to say. The King wants you to know today that you're at the right place at the right time. And the reason that you're at the right place at the right time, because there is no other time like this time. So that means this must be the time. Since this is the time, let's step into the moment right now. As we step into the right now, we forget about the hustle, the bustle, the trials, the tribulation, and all that other stuff of yesterday. In fact, we just went through 20 months of this virus thing. We're going to take the energies away from that. No longer does it exist. We're going to step into the now, in the moment. As we step into the moment right now, we know that is all there is. Yesterday took its course in the pages of history. Tomorrow's been coming ever since creation. We haven't got here yet. So there is only the moment. And in the moment, in the right now, let us affirm that whatever happens, when it happens, how it happens, is always working for my good. In the moment, there is nothing but absolute good. And in this moment right now, I'm going to go on a journey. The king tell me to go on a journey. And the journey is this. Go and find yourself. Ooh. What you say, King? Tell him, go and find yourself. Why should you find yourself? Because that's your purpose of coming this way. Your purpose of coming this way is to do one thing, to find you. And when you find you, you discover all of the mysteries of life. When you find you, then you will discover the most beautiful thing in this universe. I often say the greatest sickness in the world is what? A person that's a stranger to himself. And if you don't know you, you don't know the powers of your possibility, you don't know your strength. There was this family, they were having dinner. While having dinner, the little boy walked in and said, "Who am I?" Mother said, "What you said?" He said, "Who am I?" Mother said, "Talk to that boy." Something got into him. Father set him down, told him about his ancestors, went on talking. When he finished, he asked the little boy, "You understand?" The boy said, "Uh-huh." But the reason the father could not tell his son who he was, because he didn't know who he was. And when you ask that question, who am I? What's the first thing that you do? You think, right? That means that you're what? You're a thinking being. I'm a thinking being. What do you think with? Some say I think with my brain. I've heard of men having brain operations. Some say I think with the mind. You can't think with the mind. You can think in the mind, not with the mind. What do you think with? You think with infinite intelligence. And infinite intelligence is law in order in action. You can't think that you're sick and you expect to be well. You can't think thoughts of poverty and be rich. So whatever thought that you entertain is what the manifestation is going to be. So that means that you are a thinking being. And since you're a thinking being, then that means you create what? You create thoughts. Thoughts. What amuses me is that as I'm going down the Bay Bridge, I'm sitting comfortable in my limousine, and I'm looking out of the window, going over the Bay Bridge. And I see all these buildings, big buildings, tall buildings, skyscrapers. And I say to myself, they were once a thought. That means thoughts are heavy. That means that you create thoughts. That means that you are heavy. In life, the architect creates a blueprint. And as he creates this blueprint, guess what? You do the same thing. You're the architect of your world. You're the architect of your life. You create you. Wherever you find yourself, that's where you are. So, if you find yourself in the minus instead of the plus, you find yourself perplexed, you find yourself disturbed, You find yourself lonely, no problem. Change your thoughts. And when you change your thoughts, you change your world. I like that. Can I say it again? When you change your thoughts, you change your world. You know why? Because each one of us represents a universal world. The only thing happening in your world is what you let take place in your world. You know, you have full control over your world. If something or someone come into your world and you don't extend an invitation, guess what? They trespass. They've been rocking up on foreign territory. Got to say, hey, I didn't send for you. I don't need you. And there's no room in my world for you. Go to your rightful place. Because my world, being the king, when I first came back from Nigeria, they had crowned me a king. And that was like, that laughed again and said, you're king? Yes, I'm a king. I had to inform them, my kingdom is not of this world. My kingdom is where the invisible makes the visible a manifestation. My kingdom is a place of love, peace, joy, and happiness. The same way I'm a recipient of that, you too have that same outlet within your world, a world of love, a world of peace, a world of joy, a world of abundance. But it cannot start until you find out who you are. Do you know that is the greatest secret of this thing called life? Self-awareness. If I tell you something, don't tell nobody I told you, okay? That's not you. That's not you. That's not you. You embark upon your identity of the labels that was put up on you. That's not you. That's not you. I'm gonna tell you who you are. How can you tell us who we are? Because I must see you as I see myself. If I see you lesser than I see myself, then that means I would have to come down in consciousness. Now I'm doing great works and I can't come down. Then who are you? Tell us who we are. You are genius and you're full of talent. You are God's millionaire. You are absolutely wonderful. You are a divine design. You are a masterpiece. You're one of a kind. Guess what? There shall never be another you, and there will never be another you. You got to be you because everybody else is taken. So that means that you are special. And guess what? The measure cup that you have of this thing called life is measured only about the awareness that you have of yourself. You cannot have $100,000 and you only got a dime. You cannot be a recipient of everything that's absolute good and your consciousness would not recognize it. Hello. So let's deal with thoughts. Do you know, since everything is thoughts, we've gone through the period of life. There's nothing good, there's nothing bad. It's only a thought. It's called going to the university, L-I-F-E. Guess what? You can't be no dropout. You have to get a master's degree. The reason you have to get a master's degree because, the poet wrote these words one day. The poet said, one day I was standing at the crossroads and I was wondering which way to go. There was a road on each side. One was so wide. Look as everyone was going their way. Look as so happy they smiled. Saying, come trouble with us for a while. Says, looking for money, gold, it's plenty. Looking for friends, there was so many. Then they reassured me I'd be free from grief, burden, and sorrow. But as I looked, I saw they had no hope tomorrow. Then I looked at the other road. It was just a straight and narrow path. To travel that road, you had to take off the head with it. Friends with you and your money wouldn't do. Sometimes you might be falsely accused of being scandalized, criticized, even was all around trying to bring you down. But I went to their pair, wondering which way to go. Poem goes on and on. But the moral of the poem is this: that's where you are in this thing called life. And the lesson that you must learn from the University of L-I-F-E. You got to make a decision. You're standing at the crossroads, wondering which way to go. You have a choice. I like this. You can be high or low, rich or poor. Then watch this, watch this. You can be a servant or you can be a master. Let me make it plain, make it simplicity. You can be a master or you can be a slave. You can be a slave. Some years ago, I would go to the Cook County Correctional Institute and I would speak there and I would tell the men can incarcerate your body, but only you can incarcerate your mind. To be free on the outside, you have to be free on the inside. And when we hear the word being a slave, we misunderstand that. No one can make another man a slave. You're only a slave when you have a slave consciousness. It was during that period of Civil War, Robert Cotton was part of the Confederate. He worked for the Confederate Navy Land. And what he did was take the ships, like clean the ships, took care of the ships and etc. And he got to drive the ship and whatnot. So he got together with some other caught slaves and their family. They got in the bottom of the ship because they knew the Confederates, when they drink, they knew they studied them. He knew everything about them. They studied them. The night they got on the ship, they're all drinking and whatnot. He eased the ship on out, found the password, gave the password, eased on out. Got out there. Now the Union Army, see this Confederate flag, was blowing on the water. But the wife, she brought a sheet. She said, take that flag down, put the sheet up. They put the sheet up and they brought to the Union. Union laughed. The Union made him an officer in the Union Army. He became like a lieutenant. And when the war was over with, he came back and bought the plantation. And the woman, the plantation owner's wife, he let her stay in the back. Slavery time. Nobody could, the only way that you can be a slave is have a slave consciousness. Those who allow habits to control them, they're slave to it. But you got to be a master. I often say this, guess what? And if you can master you, you can master the world. If you can master you, be selective over the thoughts that you have about yourself. Be selective. And when I say be selective, the thoughts you have about yourself, guess what? You have a choice. You can entertain thoughts in the basement. You know what the basement is good, don't you? Stuff that you don't want, stuff you don't want to throw away. Or you can have thoughts in the penthouse. The penthouse represents a higher consciousness level. Or you can have thoughts where I have thoughts on the mountaintop. Once you start having mountaintop thoughts, you entertain thoughts of a higher consciousness level. Then this is when you start affirming, there is no limitations to my expectations. This is when you start to affirm, it's already done. It's already done. The moment that you entertain the thought, it's already done. Guess what? Guess what? You have choices. In this choice, watch this. One man says, I'm gonna get me a car. Get me a Mercedes. Get me a Jaguar. Another man says, I'm gonna get me a Mercedes dealership. I'm gonna get a Mercedes that I can sell you a car. Person, I'm gonna get me a home. Beautiful home. Like we say, I'm the developer. I'm gonna develop homes, I'm gonna sell you a home. Why? Because everybody have to go to the same source. That source is called divine intelligence. And you are a recipient of your desires. So today, what I love this story, there was a conversation going on. And the conversation was the universe was talking to the sun. And the universe told the sun, find some darkness. The sun looked, the sun said, I can't find no darkness nowhere. Same thing with you and I. We have to be like the sun. The sun, the light, represents intelligence. Darkness represents negativity. So you have that choice. Or allowing the center of your intelligence to be in control of your state of being, or you in the dark. You allow someone else to think for you. Guess what? Guess what? This day, I started out within a moment. I'm in a moment right now. This is the moment that I challenge you to make that decision that every form of good is mine. When? Right now. Right now. And if you tell me you're gonna do it, the only thing you're saying that you're not doing it. I'm gone. I'm gone. I'll affirm you're not doing it. It's yours right now. Every form of good is yours right now. You know what it's waiting for? It's waiting for your energies. And that's the same energies that create worlds. You know what's powerful than wisdom, knowledge? You know what's powerful in all of that? Imagination. Imagination. Imagine that you're sitting on top of the moon and you're counting the stars. The stars represent your field of possibilities. In other words, there is no limitations. There is no limitations to you. If I tell you you can do anything, then that's wrong. It's already done. It's already done. What you have to do is recognize it. I was having a mastermind meeting. Gentleman sitting around at my mastermind meeting. Girl says, "You get a limousine." They bunched each other and laughed. The gentleman that I was going to San Francisco and I got on his bus, we started talking. And he was the driver. He refused to let me sit down. He kept talking to me. You can imagine conversation, kept talking to me. When he got off from work, he came by my place. He says, "I want some tapes. I want some books." He came by and got some tapes and books. One day he called his off day. He had a limousine. He says, "You special, you the king." That's why I went to Nigeria. He says, "I'm taking for a ride." I sit back of his limousine and whatnot. He says, "This is what you need." He says, "I got somebody to get out of limousines." He said, "Call him. Call him. He's king. I got your limousine waiting for you." I said, "Come and look at it." 30 days, I paid for the cash. No car, no cash. Today is your day. Because see, it's not no cause, no accident that you here. You're supposed to be here. And because you are here, you are now living in the joy of expectation. Right there where you are sitting, there's nothing but absolute good is manifesting in your world. Suck it up. Suck it up. Feed your subconscious. Did I tell you something? Because you're thinking being, oh, how am I doing so far? How am I doing so far? Since that you are thinking being, and you think on different, when I was dealing with the different conscious levels, the basement, etc., they represent different levels of consciousness. There's consciousness, that is your senses. See, smell, taste, and touch. Then there's the subconscious. The subconscious knows everything. That stores all of your memories. There's universal consciousness that allows you to recognize that you're one with all life. You're one with all life. There is no separation. That's why every form of good is yours, because you're one with it. You make it make sense. What it is. Otherwise, it'd be a figment of one's imagination. But you make it make sense. And since that you make it make sense, that means that it's all in your hands. It's up to you, your world. And in your world, allow your world be paradise. Woo! I like that. Could I say that again? Allow your world to be paradise. Bubbling over with pure love. Then you can say, I love my trials and tribulations, they strengthen me. I love my obstacles, they encourage me. I love the old, for them I see wisdom. I love the youth, for them I see faith. But most so I love me. Because I love me, I will not abuse me. I will not misuse me. Because I love me. I will not allow nothing or nobody on the outside to come inside and rob me of my peace, rob me of my joy, and rob me of my happiness. Because I love me. Now I'm ready to take my rightful place in this universe. As the sun governs the day, the moon governs the night. I shall, I can, and I will govern all the affairs all around me, all about me. So this is the day. This is the moment that you take your rightful place in this universe. Could I have you do something for me? Would you do something for me, please? Close your eyes. Just close your eyes. Your eyes is closed. Now I want you to think about a beautiful experience you had in life, and it made you real happy. But this moment just feel good. Feel it? You got it? Feel it? Something made you feel real good. Oh, it takes your soul. You got it? You got it? Now, release what that was, not feel that feeling. Just hold on to that feeling. Hold on to that feeling. Feel that feeling. Feel that feeling. That feeling feels good. That feeling feels real good. You got it? Hold on to it. As you open your eyes, wherever you go, wherever you may be, remember that's your attribute to your success. That good feeling. Let nothing or nobody separate you from that good feeling. Finally, to this day, this day, this moment right now. Close your eyes one more time. This time, picture something that you desire, you want. You see it? I don't care what it is. You see it? You got it? Now whisper to yourself and say, it is mine now. Say it again. I don't believe it. Say it again. I don't believe it. Say it one more time. It is mine now. One more time. It is mine now. Now scream and holler, yes. Yes! I don't believe it. Say yes. This has been a beautiful day. I'd like to say thank the Black Library Museum for extending me this invitation. And because I'm honored, I am the first one in the building. After this quote, I can't even see it because I don't accept it. You see it. You see it. I don't accept it. You see it. Not in my world. I am the first one in the building. And I want you to know, to me, it's an honor. I've had some beautiful privileges. You know, I've been to Africa. I spoke at, you name it, Black Professional, what is that? Black Cosmetologists Association, a convention, Blacks in Government, numerous of universities and colleges, and oh my God. But guess what? I will put this at the top. It's one of my beautiful experiences. Thank you. Do you have a question before we go?
Okay, so I get a lot of calls because number one, we're a reference library, and that means that people can call here and they can ask questions to this beautiful staff we have here, and they feel that the staff has the answer to everything, and we don't always have the answer. But one question that I always get, and especially because of what everyone went through during 2020, and that is the ability, and I noticed that you used it today, the ability to take yourself out of a certain environment, and we call it meditate. I get a question on how does one meditate? How does one get to that point? People say they cut the TV off and they think about, their feelings and their life. But they said that they drift off, they can't get it. Some people don't know how to meditate. I noticed today, you said to me, Vita, I'm gonna work with Marco and you and Danielle. And once you're finished with me, I need a place that's quiet, that I can sit. And before I speak today, I need to meditate. Tell us, how can we learn how to meditate?
Well, first of all, meditation is a state of going within. As you go within, you concentrate. I'd like to say totally on your breath. See your breath going in, see your breath going out. Concentrate totally on your breath. It's something I didn't make mention of. I don't know how not get into it. But the word is affirmations. Affirmation means to affirm. If you sit right there now and just say to yourself, I affirm that I am healthy, I'm happy. It's over and over. I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm free. Now you're giving energies to that thought. You're giving energies to that affirmation. That Alicia. Another form I would like to set the affirmation is taking your energies and allow your energies to be purified within your subconscious. Just free. State of freedom. Does it make sense?
Makes sense to me.
Any other questions?
How do you correlate astronomy with astrology?
Oh.
So Selah, repeat the question because they probably know everyone can't hear.
Okay. How do you associate astrology with metaphysics? Very simple. Everything is a belief system, a cause and effect. And it was, I believe in it. There's certain traits, certain seasons, things happen. And because things happen in certain seasons, to be aware of this, then you know how to respond to it. So, but metaphysics is a state of accepting that which that you allow yourself to become into your world and your space. Make sense? Make sense? There are many who don't believe in astrology. We bless them. There are many. Could I say this? Oftentimes, many are victims of environments. And in that environment, it causes them to react. The moral of it is this: you have to create your own environment. That's what I've done. I create my own environment. That's what you have to do. Next question. I'm through.
Can I ask one more question?
Certainly can.
You mentioned a lot, everything is in divine order. When you say that, what exactly do you mean by that?
Watch this. This is going to be beautiful. Thank you for asking. It means law and order in action. In other words, you cannot plant corn and expect to get potatoes. Whatever the thought is, that's what it is. And divine order means that it's of a higher level and it represents nothing but absolute good. It is. It is. It is. And you can't take away from it because it's love. Make sense? Okay. Go on, King. Go on, King.
Question, now you have some books available. How can one purchase books?
Right there, over there. I got some books in the bag. Jamie brought them up.
Okay, and those who were not here, can they reach you so they can?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry. My email is lovingyou, letter 2, at Comcast.net. Lovingyou2 at Comcast.net. My website is rabboniselah.org. It's RABBONISELAH.org. In Chicago, my telephone number is area code 510-717-6104. That's area code 510-717-6104. Bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. It is indeed my pleasure And you know what? It's always a pleasure to have you in this space. Tune in again. The Festival of Knowledge is coming up next week. Make sure you tune in for that. And I bid you a beautiful, wonderful Saturday. And thanks again for joining us today. And have a safe, healthy weekend.